the Doug Show. This is the live session for Friday, the Doug Show live. We got Jack on from Chiang Mai. It's 2 a.m. there, and holy cow, that's awesome. And some folks, Abhishek is from India. It's 12 a.m. there. So you guys are doing awesome. Let me know if you can hear me. I hope that you can. It is unclear to me if it's working. So just give me a shout in the chat. I know there's a little bit of a delay. So I think it's working though. I think it's working. And today we're going to talk about we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Talking about all sorts of stuff. I do want to give a shout out to Andrew. Oh, Andrew is on. I see David is on too. Andrew said he's getting up early, shot me an email to let me know. And by the way, I typically reply back to emails if you're signed up to the email list. So if you have not signed up to the Niche Site Project email list, you should check it out. So Andrew was like, hey, I'm going to get up early and watch the live stream. So that's cool. We got people can hear me. We have Marty on as well. So thanks, crew, for hopping on. And a couple topics today. I'm going to talk a little about like free keyword research tools. So a couple of them are free, and they're not the classic sort of keyword research tools that we think of with the search volumes, but I'll show you a couple things that you can do, and I'll also show you Keywords Everywhere, which is a tool that used to be free, but they charge a very small amount these days. And it's still one of the cheapest tools. They added a couple new features that I want to show you. We have Ashley on too, and Marshall. What's up, folks? So good showing. So I'll show you a couple of those tools, and hopefully something will be new. Probably not everything will be new, but a couple things will be. And then what else do I have in my notes here? Hit the thumbs up if you have the opportunity. It helps people find it. Oh yeah, and then there was a KGR case study. Robin Ayer joined me. Actually, the interview went live yesterday, but I was very excited to have Robin on because he was on a live stream just like this one. He was asking some questions in the chat and said, hey, I actually saw really good results for the KGR for a client site. So that actually reminded me that I've gotten emails from a few people here and there. This is not a super common email, but people will shoot me an email and say, do you know any agencies that do KGR work? And I don't do any services. So usually I don't recommend anyone. I don't know anyone doing that specifically, and it's probably a really smart thing to market. So from the standpoint of getting results quickly and explaining to your client, hey, we're taking this approach where the traffic may not be huge, but we're probably going to see results a little bit faster. Typically an SEO agency might say, we're going to have to do this work, and it may take 6 months to 18 months to see any results. So you really got to stick around. Sure, it's great to set those expectations, but it's even better to get small results in a shorter time frame. That is one of the reasons why, I push the KGR hard, and I let people know if they're just getting started. It's a great way to build up some momentum. And if you're actually like trying to sell to a client, then it's really important to get results as quickly as possible so you don't have to keep pushing it out. And I see Justin, what's going on? We have Dan and Tiff and Annis and Kent. What's up, everybody? What else? So I was going to talk about KGR Business Ideas, because over time I do see that there are businesses popping up using the KGR. And, they never talk to me, by the way, about it, which is fine. It's like just an idea that people can use or not use or whatever, which will bring me to one of the other topics where it won't be a rant, but it's an interesting set of things that have been going on. And then, of course, I'll hit some questions and answers. And I do a couple things as far as, helping me out. People do ask, I'm not just randomly, I'm not making it up, but people are like, hey, Doug, if you need a hand with something, let me know. And, if you need support or spreading the word or whatever. So I do, it'll be awesome if you let people know about the channel. If you think any of the videos are helpful, leave a comment. It does help algorithmically. And I did notice recently there's a video out there that it was kind of a throwaway video. I was testing the Ezoic Site Speed Accelerator, which is a partial sponsor for these live sessions and my podcast. And I was testing out the tool unassociated with any kind of work that I do with them. And I didn't script it. I didn't plan much out. It took me 15 minutes to record it and then edit it, and maybe another couple minutes to put in the title and a couple tags or something like that. And I worked on the thumbnail a little bit. Anyway, most of the time, especially in the last 6 months, I've just been publishing videos which have no keyword research or intention. It's really just videos for you guys. It's videos that you're interested in, or a conversation that I want to have with someone like Robin or whoever. The cool thing is I published this video and there were a couple views. It actually kind of was slow out of the gate, but it is crushing it compared to my normal videos as far as YouTube search. So it is slowly getting more views out there. So if you have the opportunity, here's the ask, here's the favor you can do me. If you have the opportunity after this session, or when you think of it later this weekend, go to YouTube search and search for like improve Google page speed insight, which is what the Ezoic tool really helps to do. If you search for improve page speed insight score and you see my video, click on it from search, watch it, watch the full video. Don't skip it. Watch the full video, like the video, and leave a comment. I'm actually kind of curious what will happen if there's like more interaction, because in the video, I don't know that I actually mentioned to like, hey, hit the thumbs up or any kind of business like that. I don't ask for any questions, but the awesome thing is the click-through rate is like, I don't know, it's 6 times more click-through rate on that video. So apparently I did a good job on the thumbnail and I did a good job on the title, and it's serving a specific segment. And it has gotten me excited, and I keep teasing this over and over again, that I'm going to be doing videos that are not just for us, right? Not just for the live viewers. I'm going to do videos that can actually grow the channel a little bit, where I'm doing a little keyword research and I'm asking people to interact with a video. In the video, I tell them, hey, click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure I got lucky with that video in some fashion, but it's definitely tighter, it's definitely quicker, and it's getting like a fantastic click-through rate just in general. So pretty cool, because there are some videos where I've worked really hard and spent a lot more time on it versus, the throwaway video that I just mentioned, which is getting more and more views. So if you have a chance, search for the video, click on mine, and go from there. Leave a comment, do some interactive things with it. So thanks a lot if you do have the time for it. And I didn't download any clips today. And let me go back to the chat. Oh, it's been quiet. It's quiet in the chat. All right, cool. I like that there's, it's like the same crew, it's like a nice community, and I appreciate that. And people know each other. Hey, what's going on? We got Sandro on too, and Alex, and Gustavo, Hussein, Vishal, Tom. Awesome. Cool. So Dan, longtime friend of the show, asked this. Once I find my long tail keyword using KGR, do I use it standalone as my title with nothing else added? Sometimes it looks odd. So number one, Dan, you should go to Niche Site Project, read all the information on the keyword golden ratio, and read the FAQs as well. The answer is, as long as you have the KGR in the title, that's good. You can add other phrases to make it more clickable, to make it more readable. What you don't want, and I think this may be the case for you, I'm not sure, but what you don't want to do is find a KGR phrase that is actually awkward and clunky, and it doesn't make sense. You definitely need to spruce it up and make sure that it sounds okay to our ears, so it doesn't sound funny. All right, so that's a common thing. You don't want to have like a title of a blog post that just doesn't make sense. All right, I'm going to pop over. Oh, and Sandro says for that video, it was on page 2, 8th of the search results. Okay, cool. Good to know. Good to know. And Sandro, did you search in YouTube? Just want to double check. YouTube or in Google? Sounds like probably in YouTube if it was 8th on page 2. Okay, cool. Good to know. It pops up in different places, and I can't remember the exact search phrase to use, but if it's getting good click-throughs, then that's awesome. Okay, and Abhishek says, make a video on silo structure and internal linking. So I can do a video, but I actually have like a full series and blog post on it. So go to Niche Site Project, search for silo and internal linking. You'll find, I think, 3 separate posts. One is on silos, one is on internal linking, and one is on something more detailed with internal linking. I should do a video on those. Perhaps that's a good one that's actually keyword rich to get into. So, but in the short term, if you need answers, if I make a video, I'm literally just going to go and redo those blog posts. All right. Oh, and Dan says you search for improve page speed insight and it was number 1. Sweet. Okay, cool. Cool. And David says, will the KGR work for informational post? Yeah, it works for anything. It doesn't matter the industry, the topic, or anything like that. Let's move over. Let me try and share my screen here. I'm going to move some things around here. And so one of the great tools to use, make sure everything's working. Okay. So one of the great tools to use for some of this keyword research that you want to be free. By the way, if you're really doing like keyword research, you should probably pay for a tool. All right. You can get away with doing some free stuff, but in general, like you should spend a little money. You get what you pay for. And I will actually show you one of the paid tools that I use, and I'm using it exclusively these days just because I'm using it exclusively and extensively because it's so just powerful in the usage and the data that it gets you. So when we hop over here, I'm showing you Google Trends. So let me zoom out just so everyone can see the whole thing. So we got Google Trends here. Who's used Google Trends? Who's used Google Trends before? And it's not going to give you a search volume unless you're using a tool called Keywords Everywhere. I think it works in there, but basically you can see the trends for various terms over time. And you could put in the specific term that you're sort of looking for. So for today, let's use like this ballpoint pen example that I've used in the past. Ballpoint pen as a topic, and just see what's going on with this. So this is over the past 12 months, and you can see there is a little bit of a dip right here at the, it kind of rises towards the retail season. Apparently it's a good gift to give, and then it drops off there. And you also get some information about region, so you can get into that. And there are related topics and related queries here. So one cool thing to do is start to narrow it down. So let's look at the United States. So we sort of removed that little hump, and we see that it actually goes up a lot around September, which seems odd to me, and then it does indeed sort of drop off here in the December timeframe after Christmas, but not too bad. You could also tick it back a little bit for, say, the past 5 years. You could put a custom range, but we'll look at the last 5 years to see if ballpoint pens were consistent. I don't know what this spike is. That is in 2016. No clue what was going on then. It'd be interesting to investigate that. So anyway, you get some general ideas. So Sandra says, isn't trends way too big, not in the long tail? You've wondered that for a while. Yes. So this is why, Sandro, I was emphasizing like, hey, if you're actually doing keyword research and you need to get the search volumes, then trends is really not going to give you any kind of long tail keywords. And recently I interviewed Derek Bingham, and he's sometimes on these live sessions here. And I think he mentioned, I'm not really doing much. I don't remember it verbatim, but the gist was he wasn't doing sort of traditional keyword research like we think about, like we're talking about right now and what you're getting into, Sandro. But I think he mentioned, hey, I use Google Trends, and it's a growing industry, which is cool. So, and when you see some of the data, it's kind of a jumping off point. So you could see, hey, this is a stagnant, yet people are into it, but it doesn't seem to be growing, and that's fine. You also get some of the related topics, and perhaps it's more specific, who created the ballpoint pen, and just other details. You can see, if these are rising. You can check out the top ones and so on. And you'll notice I am using keywords everywhere, and it does give me the search volume. It's very small, but I could tell you that ballpoint splatting gets 210 searches per month. Some of the others get apparently 0 searches, but it does list that out here. And what you could do is you can actually compare, say, ballpoint pens with, we'll say, journaling, to see how they sort of fit together over time. Now, did I spell journaling wrong? Yeah. That'll do it. I was like, that's alarmingly low and kind of surprising. So you have to spell it right. You got to spell it right. So we have ballpoint pen and journaling, and you can see like, are these going up over time? Are these like two trend? Like sometimes you'll see some weird intersection where things start growing together, and you can add more. This is sort of like the correlation between the two, but it doesn't really tell you anything, super awesome in these two. I didn't test this out. I'm just making this up as we go here. So it can give you some ideas, and you may be able to identify that, hey, this is a trend that is on the way up. So I mentioned in the last several weeks that I was looking for cameras and stuff. So let's remove that, and let's look at mirrorless camera. And we could see over 5 years, there's kind of growth going on. And I think in 2020, we had sort of a weird stretch with COVID-19. So there's kind of a drop right there. And I think there's probably an interesting correlation between that and COVID-19, which it's not super related, but let's just take a look. What we'll see, well, it's spiked here, and it kind of crushed our whole graph. It's pretty funny. So not a great example there, but the point is that little spike of COVID-19 lines up with the drop right here. The point that we're trying to make is this is sort of a growing trend over time, and it looks like mirrorless cameras are in fact interesting, right? Because it's growing. Now, let's do a comparison for, let's call it, I don't know, if film cameras, and you may have to think about it a little bit. So you say film camera, and we'll probably see, I thought we'd see a little bit more of a decline, but that seems to be consistent as well. And we can go back all the way to 2004, and we see that film cameras have been popular for longer, and then as mirrorless cameras started to grow, they've also been popular. So anyway, it's just a tool that you can use to identify trends just in general. You're probably not going to find like specific keywords because these are very kind of broad terms. Now, if you wanted to dive down, let me just check here. Let me check something. So let's call it mirrorless camera for travel. And the problem is you go too granular, you end up with not really enough data. So if you're looking here, it's sort of dropping to 0. You're seeing like there's some interest in it, but we can't really make any decisions from this. It looks fairly stagnant to me over the past 5 years. So Google Trends is an interesting tool to use, and there's actually more sophisticated ways that you can use it, which I'm not doing here, but there are other things that you can do with it, and you can sort of pull data in and push it out to get an idea about what the trend is, right? So a couple notes here, and I do see we got Hussein says, I feel a search volume more than 300, but all in title is less, core is under 2.25. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but I think the answer is just go for it. And Marshall says, improve Google PageSpeed Insights score in incognito is position number 2 in YouTube. Cool. Very good. Thanks for checking, guys and gals out there. Anna says, my question is, what would I do if I found a high DR site on the top of the SERP of my KGR, but they aren't using the exact keyword, they're using a parent keyword? You can go for it. All right, you could check to see if it's going to work. Sometimes you're going to be able to outrank the higher DR or DA or whatever metric you're looking at. Sometimes you will be able to outrank them, sometimes not. I would have a look at the rest of the results on the first page. If there are sites that are similar in scope and authority as your site, then you have a chance to get on the first page and perhaps move up. But in general, I get a lot of these questions like, hey, I found a keyword and the search volume is 300 with the tool that I use. Or I found a KGR term and I think it may be too hard. Just go for it. Just go for it. There's no point in second guessing yourself or getting my permission. You don't need my permission. Usually the people that just find the keywords and take action, those are the folks that figure stuff out and then they quickly, they don't have that question anymore because they have their own data for themselves. And the answer is, I don't know if it's going to rank. Should you go for it? Yeah, you should go for it. So you have your own data for your own site and you're taking action. But when you're second guessing yourself and you're just waiting around and you're trying to get, other people to tell you that it's going to work, it may or may not work. But if you take action, then you'll have some data to go on. What's up, Steve? And yep, and Sandro caught my misspelled word there. And Marshall has some good insight here. So KGR for quote starter sites should follow the 250 max search per month portion of the KGR. Going higher could basically impact your results. And that's also what I tell people. So you could play around with the formula. In fact, one of the things I was going to mention just as a side topic for today is there are actually way more sort of, I don't want to call them hater videos, but there are videos trying to knock the KGR, which in my opinion, if anyone is thinking or talking about me, that's good. All right. So if they're questioning it, they're questioning the KGR, that's fantastic. I don't even have to talk about it anymore. And actually someone came to a video, actually it may have been the one that I published yesterday. Someone was like, hey, Doug, actually let's find the video because they put it in the comments. So this is, this is my playground here. So let me read the comment. And yeah, it's insane. All right, let me pull up the video here. Sorry, folks. It takes just a second to do that. And let's move to this camera. Let's share this screen. Oh, that's a perfect freeze frame there. So when we scroll down, we can see we got a few comments, and someone said, where is it? Where did they go? Did they delete their comment? Okay, so here's at least one dude who says, dude or dudette, I'm unsure. So this one's not so bad, but let's zoom in. They say, well, it's from Help Them India. It says, I'm sorry, Doug, you're a great person, but KGR make no sense. I think it a dumb technique to do keyword research. There are plenty of good technique to go after. And I mean, I really don't give a shit if he or she thinks it's a good idea or not. It's not really my concern, like overall. But I said, excellent point. What techniques do you like? You know, I'm just trying to get more comments in here. So Marty and some other folks like hopped in. Marshall is actually in here. Robin, you know, the crew. But it's interesting again because I don't actually care if at this point if someone is like, yeah, man, that is actually a really good idea or not. The good part is I actually have enough people that have said, hey, I'm getting results, like Marshall or Robin or the other hundreds of people that have sent me emails. It's like at this point, it's fine. Like there's other people talking about it. And I am trying to find the comment from this one individual who, okay, so I'll just have to tell the story. So someone said, hey, Doug, I used to follow you and I tried to do the KGR and it didn't work. And you're just basically teaching something that doesn't work. And there are better tools out there. And it's really, basically they were, you know, shitting on me because they thought that I was propagating some bullshit in general. And I was like, hey man, it's okay if you don't like it. Kind of some of the stuff I said, it's okay if you don't like it, don't use it. I actually don't earn any money from it. I just talk about it. It's an idea that I've shared. And basically, they didn't reply back. They obviously deleted their comment here because I don't know. I'm nice most of the time, but you know, it's like walking into someone's house and then they're just rude. You know, there was no, hey man, like how's it going? Like any sort of just pre-conversation or anything before he got to, hey, you're doing bad stuff here. It's like disingenuous, right? So I was just like, hey, here it is. I wrote a couple sentences, but then I saw someone else actually pasted a link which went to spam in the comments where someone was hating on the KGR. They did like a 15-minute video and basically shit on the KGR. I saw the same person that commented on this video right here. And they said, you know what? They said, this all makes sense that the KGR doesn't work. And I think you're right, dude, that made the video. And they said, but a funny thing happened. I actually published some KGR articles and my KGR term ranked #1 over this site that had a very high domain authority. How can that be? So I went over and commented on that one and I was like, dude, you just came over and said that it wasn't working for you, but here in this comment, you actually gave the exact example of the thing that he was very upset on. He's like, how can a brand new site outrank a bigger site? Well, the answer is if you're actually like giving the answer, if you have the searcher intent in mind and someone searches for the term, then it'll work. It can work. It's not always going to work, but it's a great way to give it a start. And anyway, the dude deleted his comment because he realizes he's an idiot. Sorry, dude, if you actually watched this. I think you probably watched some of my videos, but you know, don't be a jackass in the comments. Because I mean, I could delete it. I mean, I can also, I mean, I obviously know what I'm talking about in certain areas, not all areas, but in some areas I know what I'm talking about. So if you come in with a dumb comment, I'm going to tell you it's a dumb comment and I'm not going to like sugarcoat it. So if you're going to be a jackass, then okay, Steve, let me get back on track here. Close to a rant, not quite. Steve says, what's my opinion of AAWP? I don't love it. I think at one point in time it was sort of on the cutting edge when Easy Azon was sort of, not updated so much. So AAWP really sort of served the needs. I think they're a little fast and loose with some of the rules that Amazon has. So there's a few things that they do that you're not really supposed to do, like using the star ratings. You're not supposed to pull that data. But at this point in time, I like Amalinks Pro. I'm an affiliate for them. I like Lasso as well. I'm going to be using that on a new site. It seems it's an interesting tool. Lasso is where it's integrated with Amazon, but it's also very versatile. So you could use other affiliate programs too. I think Amalinks Pro may have some of that functionality, but it's not apparent yet. It's not apparent yet. So Steve, I would maybe check out Amalinks Pro if the Amazon stuff is most important to you. Lasso is worth checking out as well. Lasso has a monthly fee, but when you compare Amalinks Pro to Lasso, I think depending on what you're getting, you end up paying about the same. So you just pay more upfront for Amalinks Pro, but it depends on what you're signing up for. All right, April's on. Cool, good to see you. Jack says, thanks so much for the live sessions and all I've done for the community over the years. You're welcome. Thanks for showing up, waking up in the morning. All right. Zachariah, what's up? From Morocco. I took an article from another blog and rephrased it with an online tool, intending to use it in my blog as an informative post. No, that's not okay. That is, I would call it like a light plagiarism. And basically, it's a waste of time. Like there's nothing that's good that's going to come out of that. So at best, you have like a bastardized version of other content. At worst, it's gibberish and unreadable. So I don't recommend, a lot of times people call that an article spinner, and I don't recommend it. All right. Oh, wow, there weren't as many questions in there as I thought. Okay, let's pop back over to here. Whoa, that's very close. Very, very close. Boom. Trying to share the screen. There we go. There we go. So I've just Googled best ballpoint pen, and the thing I wanted to show you with the keywords everywhere tool is it's a little better now. Let me zoom out here just a little bit. So it's a little better than it used to be. So it does give you the search volume right here. So 3,600 searches per month, which is quite small, but I could zoom in so you see 3,600 there. One of the new features that they've added is you can see two very cool things. So when we zoom in, this is the featured snippet zone, as you can see. They tell you right here, we see the traffic, the estimated monthly traffic to this position, as well as the keywords, which is super cool. And you have this as you go down the SERPs. So for this result here, estimated traffic is 670 per month and 107 keywords. This other page gets 3,800 and 317 keywords. And you may be wondering, well, why does a lower position get more traffic? And it doesn't make sense. But it's not the traffic just from this term, it's the traffic for all the keywords. So you end up with the 107 right here. Oops. 107 right here versus the 317. So this gets more traffic in a lower position because it has more keywords. So you can click on this and then see the keywords that are ranking, the estimated traffic per keyword, where it is ranking, the search volume for those terms, and all that stuff. The point is, there's a lot of data here, like one of the more robust keyword research tools. Even though Keywords Everywhere it's not free, but it is very cheap. So it's very inexpensive. I'm not an affiliate. They don't have an affiliate program to my knowledge, but cool people over there. They've been running it for a while, and it's been growing and pretty cool. They actually reached out years ago when they were first coming out, and they're readers of Niche Site Project. So small world out there. And what else do we see? So yeah, it's pretty cool, and you could search here. So maybe you want to look for only the keywords that have best in it, so it automatically filters like that. So pretty cool overall. And of course, let me zoom back out. You have these other data over here, right? So related keywords, people also search for. So it's a legit way to do keyword research where you can export the data, pull it all together, and then organize it in a spreadsheet or however you want to organize it. So Keywords Everywhere, not free, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And a couple people mention it's pretty awesome. I didn't know Keywords Everywhere does that. And Ashley says Ashley said that I noticed the feature not too long ago. So pretty cool little feature. And for a lot of the keyword research that I end up doing, many times it is directly in Google. Sometimes I use a more sophisticated tool depending on what I'm doing, but a lot of times just Googling terms and thinking about what people may be searching for, and then finding other sites and other results. And then, of course, as you can imagine, you can see the keywords that a certain page is ranking for, which gives you a lot of insight into your competitors. So that's actually a really good way to get ideas for keywords, to see what a site is doing where you want to be. A site that is perhaps a year or two or a few years ahead of you, you can see what they're ranking for. Maybe they're not optimized for that term, but they're still ranking for it. So great way to find new keyword ideas. And I will show a little bit with KWFinder. And that is totally a paid tool. But one of the great things with KWFinder is you get so much more data when you actually search for a term. So let's pop back to this, and we'll search by keyword, best ballpoint pen, and we'll go for English here, although we have the US selected, so it probably would have sort of defaulted that way anyway. So find keywords, in the normal data that you get is pretty average. It's not that impressive. It's fine, it's what you need, but it's nothing crazy. So you end up with about 700 words over here on this side. You have the Google Trends information, the search volume, CPC, PPC, which these two we don't care about, and then the keyword difficulty, which is, I find the KD here is more accurate than other tools that I've seen. We have 680 in this case, but usually, you get around 700 or so keywords. The cool thing is all the data that it aggregates over here, the competition analysis. So if you were trying to do this by hand, you would have to go, well, it would take a long time, number one, but you would have to look for the domain authority, the page authority for Moz, the citation flow and the trust flow from Majestic. The links you potentially could get from either one of those sources or from Ahrefs, and then the number of Facebook shares, and then the link profile strength, which is their own proprietary term here at KWFinder, and the EV, that's the estimated visits per month. So it does give you the estimated visits just like any of the other tools, or just like with Keywords Everywhere. And what you can do, right? So you get all this information, which some people like to use the PA or DA, some people like the CF or TF, but in general, it aggregates all this information. So it's very cool. And one thing you could do with KWFinder, like most of the other tools, is set up some filters. So let's say we are looking for keywords that are money keywords that have best in it. And let's say we want to look for anything with a search volume under 500. So you just put in whatever filters you want and set the filter, and then it filters it down quite a bit. And you can see quite a few of these actually have a KD value that's quite low, like best ballpoint pen for students. So if you click on it, it'll refresh. So if it's sort of grayed out like this, if it looks a little bit transparent, then it's older, right? So this was last calculated on February 4th of this year. So if you click on best fountain pen under 50, it jumps up to 25. But again, you see all of this data over here about the competition. You see the SERPs directly in here, and you could even load the next page if you want to. So it makes the keyword research, especially the competition analysis, a lot easier to do. And that is why I'm using this tool more and more. They've improved it over time, and I really like it. So I think I have a link in the description of this video for a 10% off coupon, which I don't talk about a ton, to be honest with you. I probably should. I should do a few more demos, but if you want to check out KWFinder and get a 10% discount, there is a discount code in the description. All right. Sandro says, a nice thing about keywords everywhere is you could turn off additional numbers. Otherwise, it'll burn through a lot of credits. That's true. And I actually on YouTube, I turn it off because there's all these tags and a lot more data. Abhishek says, how can we know that a KGR keyword is easy to rank for or not? So by default, there's probably less competition, but you should do this regardless if it's a KGR term or not. Google the term and look at the competition. If you see sites that are kind of like yours, I think I already mentioned this. If you see sites that are the same scope and the same kind of site as yours, like an affiliate site, or maybe it's an e-commerce site or whatever site you have, if you see others that are similar in quality and scope as yours in the top 10, then you could probably rank for it. That's not always going to work out. And sometimes you'll be surprised where you rank where you didn't think you would be able to. And other times you may rank for a term that gets like 0 searches per month and it ends up being your top traffic page. So there's a lot of instances where, again, just try it. There's no harm in trying it. So the answer is, how do you know if it's easy to rank for or not? If it's KGR, it probably is easier to rank for. But if it happens to be a term where Google sort of substitutes different words, so Google's smart enough to know if someone searches for top rated ballpoint pen or best ballpoint pen, they're really searching for the same thing. So if you search for top ballpoint pen, it may just put in best. In fact, let me test it right here. I have no clue, but let's check. So we'll say top rated ballpoint pen. So top rated ballpoint pen, and then we see best ballpoint pens of 2020, best pens, best pens, best pens. So that is the example, right? So you should Google the term, right? You should Google the term, whether it's KGR or not, see what comes up. If you find top rated is basically the equivalent for best, then you should assume the best keyword search volume and the number of results and all that stuff. So if you were to blindly just follow any advice, not the KGR specifically, but if you just blindly follow advice and you don't check, then there's going to be some hiccups along the way. Okay. Jack says, would you lose link juice when you add do follow external links from money pages? Should you add external from info? So as far as whether or not you would lose link juice, I don't know specifically, but I put external links on my site all the time. So you can add external links. I'm not sure that this is an older idea where people were like, well, I'm not going to link out because I want to keep all that link juice on my site. I don't really think that it works like that. To be fair, I've never tested. I've always linked out to good resources, and you should link out to good resources out there. It's often good not to link to your direct competitors or anything. But, and I'm not sure, someone is at the door. Let's see what's going on. So my dog's barking and I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, so yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Add external links. You should do that. And let's see, was I going to talk about anything else here? Checking the, actually, I can't even find it. Okay, so someone says, why is my article I wrote 5 days ago not indexed? My blog is indexed. So could be a couple things here. If it's a brand new site under 6 months or so, you will often find some pages not indexed, just sort of randomly. Sometimes they will index and then they won't be indexed a few days later. Don't worry about it. I would continue publishing. And if you want to, you can go and force index, right? Force index it over on the Search Console, and then you should be in good shape. It may still not show up in the SERPs if you're searching for it, but again, if your site's under 6 months old and you're in the sandbox period, it's likely that you could have some irregularities like that. And Robin mentions that linking out provides topical relevance. Yep. Shafquat says, I don't know how to say your name, sorry. Primary domain has 0 DA. I set up a niche on a subdomain. Better to proceed? I'm not really sure. You know what? I've never messed with a subdomain. I am not 100% sure what you're asking or what you're trying to do. So I can't really answer your question, but if you have a brand new site and the DA, actually, who gives a fuck about the DA, to be honest with you? Like that's not our goal. Our goal is not to like get good metrics in some tool. You're trying to get traffic and all that stuff. So it does obviously give you some idea about the backlink profile and the power of the links, but your DA is going to be 0 until you start getting links. So yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking about. And just on a grander sense, people, you shouldn't be thinking, oh, how do I improve the DA and how do I improve the DR? Because you can improve those and not get any traffic and not make any money. That's not really the point. And Lachey, thank you, says, Unsplash, stock photos, Pixabay, Pexels for copyright images or not copyright free images. Yep. And I'll give a plug. Everyone, if you have just general questions, go to nichesiteproject.com/FAQ. There are, I don't know, I think there's like 30 questions, and then there is a whole section on KGR FAQs. I think basically all the ones that we've answered today. It does make it easier for me to answer questions. Oh, and Dan says, I wrote a new KGR article 2 weeks ago. You were concerned after 4 days, but on the 5th day it was indexed. Yep, so things just take time. Just take time. Benjamin says, in Google Search Console, if you see you're getting a lot of impressions but not many clicks, would I recommend editing the post to match the actual query? Yes. You can add a section, add some more, content and related ideas and keywords, and Google, you're almost certain to get like more traction, especially if you're obviously getting a lot of impressions. So super helpful. Okay, and David's saying, if clicks show up in Amazon Associates and purchases, if they were made, would also, right? I have some clicks, but no sales. Yep, purchases should show up in your reporting section. So typically, It depends on many factors, but usually, just ballpark, for 100 clicks over to Amazon, you'll make 1 or 2 sales, something like that. So it does depend on your niche and everything going on. And it could be as high as, 10%, 10 sales per 100 clicks over. But depending on the traffic that you have on your site and other factors, it may be a little bit lower. And Benjamin says, anyone know why in Google Search Console you can see pages that have impressions and clicks, but not able to see what the query was? You should be able to, I think. Although I may not understand your exact question, but generally you should be able to see that information, I believe. All right, let's see. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, KGR Business Ideas. So I'll just give a couple quick ones off the top of my head. And feel free in the chat if you have ideas for basically businesses that can run using the KGR. Feel free to put them in or leave a comment. I'm not going to do them because I don't like to do services, but other people do. One place I've actually, I don't know the quality of these, but I know people do KGR research on Fiverr. Me personally, I would really limit the keywords that I'm buying from a service unless you know them really well, because what's stopping them from just reselling the same keywords over and over? Nothing. There's nothing stopping them. And if they were a jerk, they would just resell the keywords over and over again. So I know Human Proof Designs, they have keyword packets. I've actually purchased a couple from them in the past. I've heard they generally over deliver. So if you order 50, you may get a lot more than that. I don't know, some of them were higher quality than others. Some of them I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. But there are, services, and basically you provide the KGR keywords. Maybe someone gives you the topic and then you could give them the keywords. Would it be profitable? Not for me. I mean, that seems super boring. I wouldn't want to do keyword research for somebody else, but maybe it makes sense. I don't know how much they charge, but I have seen them out there. And then in the KGR interaction that I mentioned the other day where someone was bashing it, in the thread I saw someone mentioned KGR services on subreddits out there. So I found that interesting. So there's people out there talking about it. I love it. I love it. But I think initially I would have been a lot more defensive and tried to defend it, but I don't need to anymore. So you potentially could do that service stuff. Now, taking it one step further, like what Robin was able to do, I think it's a great pitch to a customer if you're running an agency where you're doing content marketing or SEO in general. Again, a lot of times an SEO company, it's going to take a while to get traffic. There's a lot of activities. You have to publish content. You have to target keywords properly. Perhaps you have to do link building and some other campaigns. But if you are able to come in and say, hey, we want to publish 20 articles off the bat. Here's sort of our plan. We're going to find these really specific keywords. There's something called the keyword golden ratio. You probably are going to be able to rank for a few of these. They're all not going to be home runs, but you're probably going to start getting traffic. And if the client has worked with SEO agencies that never really got results, if you're able to come in and within a few weeks start getting a little traction and they can see the rankings going up, they will now trust you. That is the exact reason why I started talking about the KGR, because if I can get people some quick results faster than other people were talking about ever, then in fact, there were a lot of people who they would just have blogs that they would get no traffic on ever. They'd just publish content. They weren't ever ranking for anything. They try the KGR, they start ranking, they start getting a little traffic, and then they stick around to hear what else I'm talking about. Okay. Couple other questions pop through, and then I'll start mentioning a couple other Business Ideas. Jack says, how do you get the content manager to add affiliate links? Do I create a sub? Blah, 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 blah. Nope, there's a format that you use. And I should do a video on this because I get this question all the time. And it's like crazy simple. I can't remember the exact format off the top of my head, but it's something like amazon.com/dp/ASIN, which is like the unique number. And then I think it's slash something like question mark equals and then your tracking ID. That's it. It's just a format. All right. So super simple. Should be able to Google it and figure it out in like 2 seconds. Abhishek says, how is Namecheap hosting? Don't know. Never used it. I use them to register domains though. Lachey says that starting an agency in July around the strategy. Cool. Good idea. Good idea. Let me know how it goes. And actually, Lachey, I think I saw a comment from you recently, and shoot me an email. I am interested in like the results because I think you mentioned that you're seeing traffic go up over the last update here. Okay. Vishal says, when should I start building links? Like basic profile creations, do it right from the start. No reason to wait. Oh, and Protus says, I wrote an article using KGR and the blog post is doing great. God bless you. Awesome. Yeah, see, there's just too many people. Okay, so I can get off of that high horse there. Lachey says, I've been finding KGR for people's affiliate sites for months. I've been doing the strategy since 2016, so they're pretty easy to find now. Awesome. And Lachey, we did a coaching call way back in the day, right? You hired me for a quick coaching call, and now you'll be able to do an agency. Not because of me, but I mean, we did talk that one time. All right. Shifquat says, I wrote an article on one keyword, but Google ranked it better on another keyword. Should I update with that new keyword? Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And Dan says, KGR makes mathematical sense. And it's funny that you mentioned that because one of the main pushbacks is it doesn't make sense. And actually that is what the dude that commented, that deleted his comment. The thing is, people say it doesn't make sense and then they don't try it. They just say it doesn't make sense. Why would it work? So, and actually it's a great self-selecting audience, right? So if people are not action takers, they would say, hey, it's not going to work. I would never test anything and find out if something works or not. Zachariah says, do I still advocate 5 informative articles and 5 review articles? As a start, sure, that'll work, but you should definitely do more. And by the way, if you are testing KGR, I don't talk about this often, but if you're thinking, hey, I want to try it out, you should do 20 posts to test it out. That's what I did. You'll see some good results. You'll see some that don't work. And at large, you'll probably find that you're getting traffic on those posts. Oh yeah, and Benjamin's saying, my first site is 3 months old with the bulk of the content 2 months old. My impressions are starting to grow significantly, so it's interesting to experience the sandbox. Yep, very cool, very cool. Mike Sims is late today, but you caught part of it, and you did a little digging recently in your KGR post, outranks your non-KGR post by a wide margin. Thank you for the info there. Kevin says, I just changed my domain name. I did everything correctly, forwarding it to Google. Any idea how long it'll take to get my DA back up, if it even does go back up? Again, I will say, fuck the DA, who cares? However, I think hopefully you're getting at the traffic here. When I've done this, I've seen traffic drop for 3 to 4 weeks, usually not to 0, but after 4 weeks, and I've done this a few times, and I've talked to a couple other people who have migrated domains. Again, I wouldn't worry about the domain authority or the DR or any of the metrics. you should be concerned with your traffic and your rankings. The traffic and rankings should probably return. It's been a couple years since I've done this, but probably in 3 to 4 weeks, and you should be okay. All right, we're going to end here in a few minutes. Just a couple more questions. So Shaf Quat says, focus on KGR, low volume, or high volume with low competition is better. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to get results quicker, then you should probably go for low volume. If you go for high volume, it is probably going to take longer to rank for, even if you think it's lower competition. But you should, if you're thinking, hey, I don't want to go after low search volume, I want to go after high search volume, give it a shot. See how it works for you. I think typically, if you're going after higher search volume terms, there will be more competition just in general, and it will take longer, probably. Protus says, how many words should a post have to rank fast? I would aim for around 1,300. If you're just looking for a straight up answer, I would aim around 1,300 to 1,500. If it's a quick answer, if it's like a Q&A or something, maybe 500 words will do it. You don't have to draw it out super long. If it's a very long topic, maybe you need to do 2,500 words. So check out the other results that are ranking well. And last question from Sandro says, I have a domain that I registered 6 months ago, but it's a holding page. Now, when I add content for real, will I have skip the sandbox? No. Nope. Basically, the sandbox, in my opinion, starts when you start adding content. And I believe that, Benjamin had a good point. So his content, most of the content's like 2 months old. I imagine he's going to keep publishing stuff, which is cool. And I believe the new content that is going to be published will have its own sandbox. It may not be 6 months. Hopefully as your site grows and gets more traffic and gets more links and generally does better in Google's eyes as an authoritative type site, it'll be shorter period to rank. But I think, for a little while, for early sites, younger sites, it's going to take a little while for, even new content to rank. So the answer, Sandro, is you didn't skip the sandbox. Otherwise, that would be a super easy way to just park a domain for 6 months and then start doing it after that, start working on the site after that. But yep, you won't shortcut it. All right, Abhishek, thanks for hopping on. Jack, all the crew, Kevin, what's up? And then Addie says, this is indeed the last question. I see some top pages of other websites with poor page speeds, but it still ranks for many keywords. What's the logic? Well, obviously, you know what? Maybe it's not obvious since you're asking. The site speed matters, right? It's important, and you don't want to have a poor user experience, but it is obviously a minor factor. So if the content on those pages is really good, people may tolerate a slower site. And I would aim for having a fast site. I'd really like to have a fast loading site. But basically it's a minor factor. And if people are staying on the page and they're reading it and they're enjoying the content, that's going to trump the site speed for sure. So if it was just site speed, if that was the sole ranking factor, then of course, it would just be ranked on speed, but that is not the case. It's just a minor factor. All right, everyone, have a good weekend. Catch you next time.